That was a great conversation with Kim Scott. Full transparency, I read Radical Candor about 2 years ago, and I have embedded so many of the concepts into the training that I deliver to employers, into my own personal life, and into the professional work that I do with job seekers and employment service providers. Some great tips, and her new book also really, really helpful. I'm joined today with Louie De Palma, Vice President of Programs from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Louie.
Thank you, Lisa.
And Shakiba Shayani, the CEO and President of the Guelph Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. So was there something, Louie, let's start with you, that you heard Kim say that really stood out to you?
Yeah, what resonated with me, Lisa, was the notion that it's okay to challenge someone. It's okay to provide that feedback to someone, but you have to do it in a caring way. They have to be able to trust the comments that you're giving them. It's not this criticism in a negative way. It's got to be positive. It's got to help them grow and move forward in the way they interact either with people or whether it's in the workplace. It's something that should really resonate with them as well in the way that you're describing the content and the commentary that you're giving them.
So not just constructive, caring as well.
Well, absolutely, because there has to be that trust relationship between individuals, right? So if I'm having a conversation, whether it's at work or even at home, right? We need to have established a parameter there that the advice that I'm giving is coming from a good place, not from a negative place, because then they're just going to tune out and they're not going to hear what people are saying anyways.
And Shakiba, what about for you? Did anything stand out in that interview with Kim?
Yeah, it was an excellent interview and a lot of really great content. I particularly like it as a concept and a tool for developing, effective workplace culture. It really stood out to me that this is about kindness, this is about consistency, it's about moments of management, I think Kim said, and I really liked that's really applicable for a leader and for a team to apply to their group. It really fosters inclusivity, and I appreciated that.
I think that consistency that you talked about is very important as well.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're trying to change behavior, improve behavior, it's about consistency, and it requires kindness and commitment to the work.
And if I could add, I think the term respect was something that also stood out for me. It's really important that we all respect each other, and Shakiba alluded to that in her comments. Because if we respect each other in the workplace, we have a workplace which is welcoming. And people thrive in welcoming environments.
Yes, and makes it inclusive as well. Good point, Louie. Louie, in your past, has someone ever expressed genuine radical candor to you that provided a positive impact?
Many, many times, Lisa. Okay, but I think I can think of an example. I used to work in an organization where it was extremely important that we made decisions. Because if you didn't make decisions, things could go awfully wrong. And on one occasion, when I was managing this shift, something happened where I needed to make a quick decision, and I vacillated. I didn't make that decision quick enough, which caused other problems that then we had to solve. So I was very fortunate. My boss at the time, the next day, took me into his office and said, "Listen, son," because I was young in those days, and he said, "Listen, you need to understand that if you don't make a decision, you create a bigger issue for us all." He says, "We have a strong enough organization here. We can withstand a decision that isn't 100% right, but it's very difficult to deal with a decision that doesn't happen." So, he was very good about the way he explained it to me, and I take that to this day. To this day, I try and make decisions as quickly as I can based on the information that we have at hand, as opposed to just thinking about it and sitting on it and then not giving people the information that they need to do their job.
So as the recipient of that radical candor, at that moment, how did that feel to you?
When I first got called into the office, I thought I was in big trouble, let me tell you, okay? But he was so good at how he provided that feedback, he put me at ease right away, because he explained that this was a learning situation for me. It was a coaching situation. It was not some kind of performance situation. And he put that right up front, and from then, I relaxed, and I actually listened to what he had to say, as opposed to, he would have been talking at me, And I'm just worried about, am I going to get fired? Am I going to lose my job? I'm not even hearing what he's telling me.
Right. Good point. What about you, Shakiba? Has there been a time when somebody's used genuine radical candor, that's impacted you?
Absolutely. I've had the privilege of having a lot of excellent coaches and mentors along my career path. And, it's never been necessarily a call in the office moment like Louie just referenced, but it's in the constructive feedback that I've received, whether it's, a moment in a meeting or in front of a room or at a podium. And that feedback's really helpful. It's clear that it comes from a place of compassion. It's clear that it's because those folks want me to be and do better, and you can't argue with that. It's important for leaders to provide feedback, for folks with more experience to provide candid feedback, and I'm really grateful for all of those experiences.
Yeah, I think sometimes those the radical candor comes in little brief spurts, not just necessarily that giant moment, which can be a great learning experience for us. But would you say that's more resonant with you?
Absolutely. It's in the little moments, it's in the moments in between moments, and it's in the way that people compose themselves, how they approach their body language, the tone, and what they have to say. And I think that it goes a long way when you can provide that kind of feedback to, whether that's your team, your colleagues, your peers, your personal relationships. I think it's an important attribute.
So as a leader at the Guelph Chamber, can you see applying these principles?
Absolutely. One thing that really stood out about the intent or purpose of candid conversations or radical candor is that it's to improve communication. It's about having better conversations, is what I heard Kim say. And I think more than ever, we're in a time and place where we need to foster better conversations, build relationships with everyone we work with, whether that's directly in the line of work, our teams, stakeholders. We have to apply those skills so that we can bring people along. The pace of change in work has really shifted and it's accelerated, and so it's really important to make sure that we're building strong relationships as we do our work.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out for me when I read the book was it can act as a bridge between people who don't necessarily have a common agreement at the start, but it can really form that bridge.
Absolutely. You can find the common thread, the common ground to work from. You don't always have to agree, and that was something really nice that Kim said too, is that this isn't about always finding consensus, but it's about making sure that your intention and the purpose is clear, expectations are clear, and that another thing that stood out to me was that we're communicating, for example, we're listening to understand, not to respond. These are really critical tools for leaders and for folks in business, really anyone who works with others to apply.
Absolutely. Louie, as a leader at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce on the programs team, can you see yourself applying these principles?
Absolutely, Lisa. And Shakiba spoke to that importance of listening, the importance of understanding where people are coming from. I can give you an example. We just onboarded through a new program that we just initiated 85 new hires.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and we did this all virtually. So we hired them, we're doing the onboarding now, we're doing the training. So, and they're all from different backgrounds, they're from different post-secondary schools. So it's so important to try and create that cohesive team, that cohesive structure, and we're doing this virtually. So not being honest with them, not giving them regular feedback on an ongoing basis, and that positive feedback. If we didn't do that, we're not going to be able to create that cohesive team. And I can give you an example, just a little example that's happening right now. Obviously, the students are there with us because they want to get work experience. And we want to provide that work experience. We want to give them real life work experience and also enhance their ability to learn new training, new modules that they can bring back into the academic world. So what we're noticing when we're doing our onboarding is some students log on for just a few minutes, and then they log off. Other students log on, but they stay on much longer after the session is over, which tells us maybe they're not necessarily in the session. Other students seem to be joining us via their cars. So for us to not have that honest conversation with them, we're doing them a disservice, because what are they really learning? They're learning they can get around the work environment. So what we've done is this. We've had a general conversation with everybody. We've explained what we need in an honest, truthful way. This is how we function at the OCC. This is our expectations, very clear. Ask them, do you have any questions about the expectations? And we had questions, we answered them the best we could. Now what we're doing, the next phase, is to talk to those individuals that are not doing what we're expecting. And we're going to have honest conversations, and we've already had 2 or 3. And it's coming from that, we're trying really, really to be careful, because it can be intimidating for a student. Okay, let's be honest here, right? So this is the boss, right, is going to be talking to me, and I just got this job, and boy, they already know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, and maybe they're going to let me go, and therefore I'm not going to get my co-op credit. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen to me? So the first thing we have to do is put them at ease. We have to make them understand that this is a coaching moment for us. It's a learning environment that we're talking about, and it's helping, because I've had those conversations with 2 or 3, and they've responded quite positively now. They're coming to the sessions. They're not taking them from their car. So it is working. And again, it's the trust. I think it's, you said it, Shakib, I think it's building that trust and that relationship and the caring, because if they don't believe that we care about them, then we're not going to be able to help them with any advice that we're giving them.
I'd like to thank today's guests, Kim Scott and Shakiba Shayani.
And I would like to thank the Government of Ontario for their support in making this series possible, and the wonderful folks at Your TV, who without their support, none of this would have happened. And
it's a reminder to follow us on social media. You can find us on LinkedIn, Discoverability Network. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Higher Ability Now. Visit our YouTube channel to see some of our videos, and look for honest conversations on Eventbrite.
Lisa, I just want to thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you throughout these episodes, and I really enjoyed myself.
Thank you, Louie. Same goes for here.
Thank you, everyone.